Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, there are always things slipping out of your hands, things you simply cannot control? It's frustrating, isn't it? We live in a world where uncertainty often dictates our emotions, and the constant attempt to manage every little outcome can leave us drained, restless, and disconnected from the present moment. But what if I told you that true peace doesn't come from controlling everything around you, but rather from learning to let go? What you're about to discover might surprise you, because sometimes the secret to a calmer, more fulfilling life is found in the very act of surrender. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. Imagine for a moment the countless hours we spend worrying about situations we cannot change, an argument from the past, a decision someone else made, or even the unpredictable turns of life itself. These moments cling to us, robbing us of our ability to enjoy the small pleasures that are already within reach. Has this ever happened to you? You're walking through a beautiful day, yet your mind is caught in loops of what if and why me? And while you're lost in those thoughts, the simple joy of the sun on your skin or the laughter of a loved one quietly slips away. The truth is, joy lives in the details we often overlook. Learning to focus on what you can control and releasing what you cannot may just be the greatest gift you could give yourself. Now think about this. Can a garden thrive if the soil is poisoned? Of course not. And in the same way, how can a positive life take root in a negative mind? Negativity spreads quickly. It clouds your perspective, undermines your self-belief, and kills possibilities before they even have a chance to sprout. Doubt, more than failure, is what destroys dreams. We can survive failure. We can learn from it, but doubt stops us from ever even trying. Has that happened to you, where an idea felt exciting for a moment, but the doubts whispered louder, convincing you that you weren't ready, or worse, that you weren't worthy? Stay with me until the end, because we're going to explore how hope and optimism can be the seeds that transform not just your mindset, but your entire life. You see, the problem isn't always the challenges around us. It's often the dialogue happening within us. We fight battles in our minds long before we step into the real world. We tell ourselves it's impossible. We convince ourselves it's not the right time. And in doing so, we shrink the space where joy, peace, and possibility could exist. But here's where the turning point comes. By choosing to let go of what you cannot change, and by refusing to feed the soil of your life with negativity, you open yourself to growth. And growth, even if slow, is unstoppable once it begins. This journey is not about escaping life's difficulties. It's about shifting the way you perceive them. Instead of wasting energy trying to fix what's beyond you, imagine channeling that same energy into gratitude for what you already have, into small steps toward your goals, into nurturing connections that uplift you. What could your days feel like if optimism became your daily practice? How much lighter would you walk if you weren't burdened by battles you cannot win? Stay with me, because this is only the beginning. We're about to dive deeper into how letting go of control and cultivating a positive mindset can shape not just your outlook, but your destiny. And as we move forward, you'll see how these timeless truths, simple yet profound, hold the power to transform the way you live each moment. The answers may not be what you expect, and that's exactly why you won't want to miss what comes next. If you enjoy meaningful reflections like this, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next insights we'll explore. Together, there comes a moment in life when standing still feels heavier than moving forward. You sense it deep inside, that quiet discomfort telling you the place you're in no longer fits who you are becoming. Progress doesn't begin with perfect conditions, nor with waiting for a sign from the universe. It starts the instant you decide you're no longer willing to stay where you are. That decision, simple yet powerful, acts like a spark. It may not change your reality overnight, but it shifts something essential within you, the recognition that you are not rooted in the soil of stagnation, but capable of walking toward transformation. Think about it. Every great journey begins with a single choice to rise, even when the ground beneath you whispers to remain seated. And once you've made that choice, another truth emerges. How you carry yourself shapes the path you walk. Holding your head high isn't about pride. It's about integrity. It's the silent strength that comes from knowing who you are when nobody else is watching. In those quiet, unseen moments, character is formed. Public applause fades quickly, but the unseen decisions you make, the ones that reveal your honesty, your resilience, your kindness, those are the real foundation of a meaningful life. Integrity, after all, is not about the mask you wear for others. It's about the hidden truth of who you are behind the scenes. And when your private reality aligns with your public face, that's when you step into authentic power. But life has a way of testing us, of stripping away the comfortable illusions we hold on to. Sometimes it takes losing something we thought we could never live without to discover who we really are beneath it all. When everything familiar is taken away, what remains? The present moment, raw and unfiltered. Each minute counts more than we realize. And yet it's so easy to let time slip through our fingers while we replay the past or worry about the future. Life isn't meant to be lived in yesterday's shadows or tomorrow's projections. It is built right here, in this breath, in this heartbeat. What seems small, this second, this choice, this act of awareness, carries within it the entire architecture of who we are becoming. And maybe that is the hidden revelation so many of us overlook. We chase grand plans, waiting for some extraordinary sign, when the real impact happens quietly, in the decision not to remain stagnant, in the integrity that holds us upright, in the courage to see this moment as the only true place where life unfolds. It's not about perfection or control. It's about presence. Because presence is where clarity is born. Presence is where you realize that even loss, as painful as it is, can carve away what doesn't belong and reveal the strength that was always waiting to emerge. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you combine the courage to move forward with the integrity to stand tall and the awareness to live fully in the present, something remarkable begins to shift in the way you experience life. Write in the comments, I'm also on this path. There's a hidden truth many people overlook. The perfect starting point doesn't exist. We often delay our transformation waiting for more resources, better conditions, or a clearer sign. But the reality is that every powerful journey begins exactly where you are right now. To start where you are and use what you have may sound simple, almost ordinary, but it carries a depth that can change everything. The mindset of waiting until you're ready is a trap that keeps dreams buried. Because readiness is not something that comes before action. It's born in the process of moving forward. The secret isn't about having everything lined up. It's about refusing to stop when you're tired and choosing to rest only when the task is truly complete. Fatigue can disguise itself as a reason to quit, but often it's just a sign that you're stepping outside your comfort zone, stretching beyond the limits you thought were fixed. And in that stretch, growth is born. But growth is impossible if you define yourself by the chains of your past. Too many people let old wounds dictate who they can become, as if trauma has the power to decide the future. It doesn't. You are not your past. You are not your scars. And you are not the worst thing that has ever happened to you. You are the product of your decisions, the living proof of your ability to choose again, no matter what came before. What really holds people back is not their history, but their doubts about today. Doubt whispers that change is too late, that opportunities are gone, that you aren't strong enough. Yet every moment you resist those doubts, you weaken them. Every decision you make in the present carries more impact in the sum of all your mistakes. The past only defines you if you continue to bow to it, and the present only limits you if you surrender to hesitation. And this is where the most powerful revelation appears. The attitude of a student is what unlocks the path forward. Too often we cling to what we already know, thinking that experience alone will protect us from failure. But old paths can only lead to old destinations. Curiosity, humility, and the willingness to question what you think you know open doors that pride will forever keep shut. Life has a way of rewarding the learner, the one who admits they don't have all the answers, but refuses to stop asking the questions. Behind the scenes of every success story is a person who kept learning, who absorbed wisdom like oxygen, who never allowed arrogance to silence curiosity. To be a student of life means you're constantly expanding your vision, constantly revising your mindset, constantly discovering that the horizon is wider than you imagined. And perhaps that's the real hidden truth. Transformation doesn't demand perfection, it demands motion. You begin where you are. You carry the lessons from your past without letting them chain you, and you remain humble enough to keep learning along the way. This is the quiet journey most people overlook: the decision not to wait, the courage to detach from old definitions, and the humility to always remain a student of life. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you embrace these truths, the way you see challenges, setbacks, and opportunities will never be the same again. Put down in the comments, "This makes sense to me." Hope and trust are like the invisible threads that hold every transformation together. Without them, decisions lose their strength and dreams fade before they're ever tested. To achieve anything of impact, you must first believe it is possible. And that belief often requires the willingness to risk failure on a grand scale. Failure, though, is never the enemy. It is the hidden truth behind every success story, the silent partner that teaches us lessons no victory ever could. The courage to take that step, knowing you may fall, is what separates those who remain in the safety of imagination from those who shape reality. When you lean into trust in yourself, trust in the process, trust that life is guiding you somewhere meaningful, you ignite a force more powerful than fear. It is not about reckless leaps, but about cultivating the mindset that every risk carries revelation, every setback carries insight, and every forward motion brings you closer to the life you are meant to create. This is why peace cannot be postponed as if it were a prize waiting at the end of the journey. Peace is not a destination. It is the path itself. So many people exhaust themselves chasing an idea of fulfillment that always exists in the future. Someday when I succeed, someday when I heal, someday when everything falls into place. But the paradox is that healing and success only emerge when you dare to live fully in the present moment. The behind-the-scenes reality of joy is that it does not wait for perfect timing. It's found in ordinary minutes, in the decision to breathe deeply, to notice beauty, to be here now. Chasing someday robs you of today, and today is the only space where life is truly alive. When peace becomes the way you walk, each step carries balance, and even challenges lose some of their weight because you are no longer bargaining with the future to feel whole. And yet, even with peace as your guide, life will place you in situations that test your strength and reveal your resilience. One of the hardest revelations we face is understanding that life is too short to tolerate disrespect from others, from circumstances, or even from ourselves. Allowing constant disrespect erodes the very trust and peace you work so hard to build. Respect isn't about pride. It's about honoring your worth enough to set boundaries and not settle for less than what aligns with your values. In the midst of chaos, these boundaries become anchors. Interestingly, it is often in chaos that you meet your truest self. Noise strips away illusions. Disorder shakes loose the unnecessary, and suddenly you see clearly what matters most. A stumble in such moments is not the end. It can be the very event that prevents a deeper fall, redirecting your path and sharpening your vision. Life is unpredictable, but within that unpredictability lies the space for growth. Stumbles remind us that we are human, that strength is not built in avoidance, but in facing difficulty with courage. And perhaps this is the greatest hidden truth of all. Chaos doesn't just break us. It can rebuild us into something stronger, something more aligned with who we are meant to be. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you begin to see failure, peace, and chaos as teachers instead of enemies, the entire journey of your existence takes on a new meaning. Write in the comments, "I see the lesson." Goals are often misunderstood as finish lines, as if their only value lies in the moment we cross them. But the real impact of a goal is not in its completion. It's in the direction it provides. A goal is like a compass. It doesn't guarantee the destination, but it ensures you're not walking in circles. Even when you fall short, the journey toward that vision shapes you. It ignites a fire in the mind that cannot be lit by routine or comfort. The mind is not meant to be filled with empty tasks and passive distractions. It's meant to burn with purpose, to radiate energy that fuels decisions, habits, and transformation. Behind the scenes of every meaningful achievement is a person who dared to set a target, not because it was certain, but because it pulled them forward into growth. And then, life inevitably tests the strength of that fire. Adversity arrives like strong winds, tearing away what is superficial, stripping down illusions, and forcing you to face yourself without filters. It's uncomfortable, even painful, but in those moments, you see clearly who you are beneath the layers of pretense. You may think you know yourself in times of calm, but true revelation comes when everything familiar is shaken. The storm doesn't just expose weakness, it also uncovers hidden strength you didn't know was there. This is the hidden truth of adversity. It doesn't just challenge you, it defines you, carving out the raw, authentic version of your being. In the mirror of difficulty, you discover resilience, adaptability, and the quiet courage that only rises when there are no other options. Yet the greatest mistake we make is believing that transformation is about reaching some perfect state where no flaws remain. Perfection is an illusion, a trap that paralyzes progress and suffocates joy. Transformation, in reality, is about effort. It's about showing up each day with persistence, about choosing again and again to take steps, even small ones, toward becoming more aligned with your highest self. Each effort, however imperfect, adds to the structure of your strength. Over time, these small actions accumulate into a momentum that feels unstoppable, as if the universe itself begins to conspire with your determination. This effort becomes the quiet evidence of your commitment, the proof that you value the journey more than appearances. And somewhere along the way, you discover a hidden reservoir of courage. You realize that your strength wasn't built in moments of ease, but in the days you felt least capable, yet chose to keep going. Those are the days that redefine you, the days that prove transformation isn't a single event, but a continual practice of persistence. The fire that was sparked by a goal and refined by adversity is sustained through consistent effort. It's not about flawless victories, but about refusing to quit when the path is rough. And that mindset is what turns ordinary lives into extraordinary stories. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you embrace goals as guides, adversity as a mirror, and effort as the true engine of transformation, you begin to see your entire journey through a different lens, one that reveals not just who you are, but who you are capable of becoming. Write in the comments, I choose effort over perfection. Character is the invisible weight that anchors everything you are, and yet it's so often overshadowed by the shallow pursuit of reputation. Reputation is fragile, shaped by perception, by whispers in rooms you'll never enter, by opinions that shift as easily as the wind. Character, on the other hand, is steady. It's the voice you hear when you're alone, the private dialogue that can either empower you or sabotage you. What you whisper to yourself when nobody is listening carries far more impact than any praise or criticism coming from the outside. A strong character doesn't beg for validation. It builds itself from within. And that inner foundation is what gives you the strength to walk through life without being broken by every judgment. Reputation fades, but character remains, shaping decisions, fueling resilience, and becoming the hidden truth behind every authentic life. And once you realize this, you begin to see clearly that trying to change others is a battle that leads only to exhaustion. No matter how much effort you pour into altering someone else's choices, mindset, or behavior, the final decision is theirs. But here's the revelation most people miss. Even though you cannot change others directly, you can influence them profoundly. Through your own example, authenticity has an impact far greater than persuasion. When someone witnesses resilience in the face of challenges, when they see love expressed even in the presence of pain, When they sense that your words align with your actions, it awakens something in them. Change cannot be forced, but it can be inspired. And it is through that inspiration, born of integrity and authenticity, that transformation begins to ripple outward. Behind the scenes of the lives you touch, your presence leaves traces of courage and hope that may one day ignite their own decisions. But perhaps the most powerful revelation of all is understanding that life is less about what happens to you and more about how you choose to respond. Events are neutral until we give them meaning through our reaction. Two people can face the same storm, and while one collapses under the weight, the other discovers a new strength they didn't know existed. Adversity on its own doesn't write your story. It's your response that fills the pages. Every reaction is a decision, a choice to either let the moment define you or to redefine yourself through the moment. This mindset shifts everything. Suddenly, setbacks become opportunities for resilience, disappointments become lessons, and challenges transform into revelations of hidden courage. And here lies the hidden truth. Your story isn't written by fate alone. It's written by the way you respond to each twist and turn of the journey. When you embrace character over reputation, authenticity over control, and response over circumstance, you step into a life shaped not by outside noise, but by inner strength. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because the way you react to life's tests is not only shaping your present, it is silently constructing the future you will one day step into. Write in the comments, "My response shapes my story." There is a quiet strength in learning to let reality flow without constant resistance. So often we fight against what is happening, clinging to how we think things should be, and in that struggle, we create our own suffering. Change is not the enemy. It is the very essence of life. When seasons shift, when circumstances evolve, when people enter or leave our lives, it is a reminder that nothing is meant to remain static. The hidden truth is that resisting change is like trying to hold back the tide. You exhaust yourself without moving the ocean an inch. Growth, however, begins the moment you stop fighting and start flowing, when you loosen your grip on old patterns and open yourself to the possibility that life knows something you don't. Transformation is never born in control. It is born in surrender, in the courage to trust that every change carries with it the seed of becoming. And yet, even when we embrace change, we stumble, and those stumbles often wear the name of failure. But failure is not the final act, it is feedback, a message from the universe, whispering that adjustment is needed. Behind the scenes of every success are countless attempts that didn't go as planned. Think about it. Every great invention, every personal breakthrough, every bold decision was built on the foundation of what didn't work. Failure is simply data, an opportunity to refine your mindset and sharpen your strategy. The only true failure is giving up on the journey entirely. When you reframe failure as feedback, you strip it of its power to shame and instead allow it to guide you. This shift is more than a mindset, it's a revelation. It teaches you that nothing is wasted, that even missteps carry impact, and that every time you rise again, you are walking with more wisdom than before. But even with this awareness, there remains one element too often overlooked: time. We treat it as if it is infinite, yet it is the most limited resource we have. Time is precious, not because it is scarce, but because it is alive only in this moment. Too much of it slips away while we wait for the right conditions, while we relive the past or anticipate the future. The truth is that enjoying the present is never wasted, because it is the only place where life truly exists. And miracles, those quiet turning points that shift everything, are not found in some distant future. They appear when you dare to believe in yourself here and now. Belief is what transforms ordinary minutes into extraordinary turning points. It is belief that allows you to see possibility where others see walls, to sense opportunity in what looks like loss, to trust that your presence in this moment is enough to begin creating the life you long for. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you align yourself with the flow of reality, when you treat failure as feedback and treasure time as the gift it is, you begin to live with a clarity and courage that few ever experience. Write in the comments, I choose to flow with life. One of the most subtle but powerful prisons we can fall into is the need for approval. Living for the validation of others is like chasing a horizon. You move forward, but the goal never comes closer. Approval shifts depending on who's watching, what they expect, and how they interpret your actions. But character and discipline remain yours alone. The hidden truth is that talent can open a door, but it is discipline and perseverance that keep it open. Talent is a spark, but without consistent effort, it flickers out. What transforms a spark into? A steady flame is the daily choice to keep going, to show up even when no applause is offered, even when nobody notices. This is the behind-the-scenes reality of all transformation. The work done in silence, the sacrifices made without recognition, the small victories that build resilience. When you stop performing for approval and begin acting from conviction, you step into a strength that can't be taken from you. But strength without kindness becomes hardness, and hardness without forgiveness becomes bitterness. To live with a free soul, you must practice both. Kindness is not weakness. It is the courage to soften where life has made you rigid. Forgiveness is not forgetting. It is the decision to release yourself from the weight of anger. Carrying resentment is like dragging chains on your journey, slowing every step you take. When you forgive, you do not erase what happened. You free yourself from being defined by it. And kindness, offered in small doses every day, becomes a quiet revolution. It disarms fear. It breaks cycles of hostility. It creates space where healing can enter. Fear shrinks when you act in spite of it, and dreams awaken when you refuse to let hesitation dictate your choices. Action is the antidote to fear, and persistence is the language of dreams. Each time you act kindly, each time you forgive, you lighten your load and move closer to the life your soul longs for. And then there's the rhythm of time itself, teaching us that no day is wasted. We often look back with regret, wishing we had done more or less, spoken differently, chosen better. Yet every day has its gift. The good days bring joy, filling our memory with warmth that carries us through storms. The bad days bring wisdom, chiseling away illusions and sharpening our awareness of what truly matters. Both are essential, because happiness without wisdom makes us fragile, and wisdom without happiness makes us heavy. To never regret your days is to accept that they are all part of the same journey, the easy, the hard, the beautiful, the painful. They weave together into the story of who you are becoming, and each one leaves an imprint that cannot be replicated. Transformation doesn't ask you to erase the past, but to use it as fuel, to see both joy and struggle as teachers. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you stop chasing approval, embrace kindness and forgiveness, and see every day as meaningful, your entire mindset shifts toward freedom, resilience, and growth. Write in the comments, every day has value. The art of life is not about control or certainty, but about adjustment. Every day, circumstances shift, expectations change, and new challenges appear without warning. To resist these changes is to suffer twice, once from the situation itself, and once from your refusal to adapt. Yet within suffering lies a hidden truth. It is often the fire that forges the strongest souls. Scars, though painful to earn, become silent. Testaments of survival, reminders that you have faced storms and walked through them. They do not diminish you. They reveal you. They carry the weight of your journey, proof that you endured, and that your character was shaped not in comfort but in trial. Behind the scenes of every resilient spirit are scars, both visible and invisible, that tell the story of battles fought and strength discovered. This is why flexibility is not a luxury, it is survival. Nature itself illustrates this with clarity. The oak, proud and rigid, snaps under the force of violent storms, while the willow, bending with the wind, remains standing when the skies clear. Flexibility does not mean weakness. It is the wisdom of knowing when to yield so you can endure. It is the ability to shift direction without losing your purpose, to adjust your path without abandoning your journey. Transformation often happens in these quiet moments of bending, when you learn to flow with life instead of breaking against it. Flexibility allows you to keep moving forward, to continue evolving, and to remain open to revelations that only come when you are willing to see things differently. The impact of this mindset is profound. It ensures not just survival, but the ability to thrive in spaces where others collapse. And then there is the truth that often gets buried under comparison. Your uniqueness is your gift. In a world that constantly pressures you to conform, to meet standards set by others, to follow paths already mapped, it takes courage to stand in your own light. But strength is born precisely in those moments when you face something you thought impossible and realize you have moved beyond it. That breakthrough is not only about overcoming the challenge, it's about proving to yourself that what makes you different is what makes you powerful. The journey of becoming is not about copying anyone else. It is about uncovering the value of your own essence, even if it doesn't fit neatly into the molds society presents. Uniqueness carries with it a quiet kind of impact, one that doesn't shout for recognition, but leaves deep impressions wherever it is expressed with authenticity. Your journey is unlike anyone else's, and the scars you carry, the adjustments you've made, the storms you've survived, they have all shaped you into someone capable of what seemed impossible. And that is the hidden revelation. The very obstacles that tried to break you have instead revealed the strength that sets you apart. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you begin to see adjustment as an art, flexibility as survival, and uniqueness as your true gift, you stop resisting your path and start embracing it with a mindset that transforms everything. Write in the comments, "My uniqueness is my strength." Pain has a way of arriving uninvited, reshaping the rhythm of our days and leaving behind marks we never asked for. Yet, beneath the weight of suffering lies a hidden truth. It is one of life's most unrelenting teachers. Pain strips away illusions, forcing us to see what truly matters. It sharpens courage, making us face parts of ourselves we would rather ignore, and it deepens wisdom in ways comfort never could. Every scar, every ache, every night when strength feels drained is in fact a preparation, building a foundation for the future you have yet to step into. Behind the scenes of every resilient soul is a history of pain endured and transformed into fuel for growth. Rather than something to escape, pain becomes the quiet mentor that shapes your mindset, reminding you that strength is not given, it is forged. But strength alone is not what builds greatness. Often, it is the small details that accumulate, unnoticed, into something extraordinary. We tend to look at monumental achievements and see only the outcome, forgetting that they are built on the persistence of daily habits, subtle choices, and incremental steps. The truth doesn't reveal itself to those who wait passively. It belongs to those who actively seek it, who pay attention to the seemingly insignificant moments that others dismiss. Challenges, in this way, are less of an obstacle and more of a catalyst. They push us to innovate, to think differently, to create solutions we would have never imagined if life had been too easy. It is within the details, within the precision of effort, and the willingness to keep searching, that greatness silently takes shape. And part of that journey requires walking paths others cannot or will not walk with you. There is power in companionship, but there is also a different kind of strength in learning not to fear walking alone. Self-reliance doesn't mean isolation. It means trusting your own compass enough to keep moving even when approval or company is absent. It's about holding on to your vision, your big dreams, even when they seem too audacious for those around you. Facts may tell you something is unlikely. Logic may insist it cannot be done. But dreams have a force facts alone cannot measure. They carry energy, momentum, and a vision of possibilities that extend beyond the present. Walking alone sometimes becomes the price of transformation, but it is also the very thing that unlocks your most authentic power. To embrace pain as a teacher, to honor the details that shape greatness, and to trust yourself enough to walk alone when necessary, is to step into a mindset where transformation is no longer a distant concept, becomes your daily practice. Each moment, each challenge, each solitary step carves more clarity into who you are becoming. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you realize the role pain, Details and solitude play in shaping you. The entire journey of your life begins to look different, less like a struggle to endure, and more like a revelation unfolding. Write in the comments, "I walk my path with courage." Responsibility has a way of transforming ordinary existence into something meaningful. When you begin to take ownership of your choices, your actions, and even your mistakes, life stops feeling like something that simply happens to you and starts to feel like something you are actively shaping. This shift in mindset is profound because it turns chaos into clarity. The hidden truth is that responsibility is not a burden, it is a key. Each time you accept it, you unlock a deeper sense of purpose. You realize that the weight you carry is also the very thing that grounds you, giving your journey direction and depth. Avoiding responsibility may feel lighter in the short term, but it leads to emptiness. Embracing it, however, infuses each step with significance, showing you that meaning doesn't fall from the sky. It is created through ownership. And in this journey of ownership, one area demands particular attention: your health. It is the foundation upon which everything else rests, the behind-the-scenes force that sustains dreams, relationships, and impact. Too often, we chase external definitions of success, only to discover too late that health was the wealth we neglected. Without it, the achievements lose their glow. Complaints about life drain energy, but responsibility, even in the smallest daily choices about how you move, eat, rest, and think, lifts you from victimhood into empowerment. Health is not just the absence of illness. It is the vitality that allows you to live your purpose fully. When you see it as wealth, you begin to treat your body and mind as treasures, not tools to be overworked until they break. That simple reframe reshapes not only your habits, but the very quality of your existence. Still, even with responsibility and health at the center, there are moments when the most powerful decision you can make is to let go. We are conditioned to cling to people, to habits, to versions of ourselves that no longer serve us, because holding on feels safer than stepping into the unknown. But clinging to what harms you drains more than it sustains. The courage to surrender is often greater than the courage to fight, because it requires trust in the process, trust in the journey, trust that releasing creates space for something better to enter. Letting go is not giving up. It is realigning your energy with what actually matters. There is impact in surrender, a revelation hidden in the release that reminds you power is not always in gripping tighter, it is often in loosening your hold. And so, responsibility gives meaning, health gives vitality, and letting go gives freedom. Together, they form a triad of transformation that reshapes not just how you live, but why you live. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you understand how ownership, vitality, and surrender weave together, you begin to experience life not as a chain of obligations, but as a journey of conscious creation. Write in the comments, "I choose freedom in letting go." Fear is often misunderstood as something we must eliminate before we can take action, as though courage only appears in its absence. But the hidden truth is that fear never fully disappears. It lingers, it whispers, it challenges. Mastery over fear does not mean erasing it, but learning to move forward while it walks beside you. Real courage is forged in this space, when your heart races, your doubts scream, and yet you choose to take the step anyway. Behind the scenes of every transformation, you'll find someone who felt fear just as deeply as anyone else, but refused to let it dictate their path. That decision to walk forward, even with trembling hands, becomes the moment where destiny shifts. It is proof that courage is not the opposite of fear, but the act of carrying it without letting it carry you. Once fear is seen for what it truly is, your focus turns to what sustains you. Goals. Happiness doesn't spring from chance. It flourishes when your thoughts and energy are directed towards something meaningful. Goals provide that direction, a sense of purpose that pulls you forward even when obstacles stand in the way. Without them, energy scatters, leaving you restless and unfulfilled. With them, every effort becomes infused with intention. Every decision becomes clearer. Every sacrifice gains context. This is not about chasing achievements for their own sake. It's about aligning your life with hopes that inspire you, pursuits that awaken your creativity, and visions that challenge you to stretch beyond. Comfort. Happiness grows in this alignment because the mind craves purpose, and without it, even abundance feels empty. The revelation is that goals don't just shape your future, they give meaning to your present. And when you pursue those goals long enough, you discover something even deeper. What you become along the journey matters far more than what you obtain at the end. Accomplishments fade, possessions lose their shine, recognition passes quickly, but the person you become in the process remains. Every storm you survive, every challenge you endure, adds resilience, broadens your horizon, and deepens your capacity to navigate life. The impact of the journey is not measured by what you collect, but by the transformation it creates within you. This is why storms, as harsh as they seem, are invaluable. They force growth, they test endurance, they stretch perspective. On the other side, you stand not just with survival, but with an expanded vision of who you are and what you can carry. The hidden truth is that fear, goals, and transformation are interwoven. Fear tests your resolve, goals direct your energy, and storms shape your essence. Together, they form the foundation of a mindset that no external force can dismantle. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because when you embrace fear as a companion, goals as fuel, and storms as sculptors, you begin to live with a clarity that transforms not only what you do, but who you are becoming. Write in the comments, I grow through the storm. Every dawn arrives like a blank page, untouched and waiting for you to decide what story will be written upon it. No matter what happened yesterday, no matter what burdens you carried through the night, the morning offers a subtle but powerful message. You are not bound to repeat the same script. Each sunrise is an invitation to choose your path consciously, to realign with what truly matters, and to step forward with courage into change, rather than clinging to the safety of sameness. The hidden truth is that life does not reward hesitation. It rewards decision. It moves in favor of those who dare to embrace transformation, who are willing to leave behind the known and step into the uncertainty of growth. Behind the scenes of every breakthrough, there was first a dawn where someone decided they would no longer remain where they were. But dawn is only the beginning. What sustains you through the hours that follow is love and faith. These two forces are the sweetness that softens life's edges, the invisible current that carries us forward when our strength falters. Love connects us to people, to purpose, to something greater than ourselves, and in that connection, we find resilience. Faith, whether in yourself, in others, or in the unfolding of the journey, becomes the anchor in the storm. Even when the night feels endless, hope whispers through faith and reminds you that light exists even before it appears on the horizon. Love and faith are not abstract. They are lived in daily gestures of kindness, in the courage to trust, in the decision to see possibility where others see only darkness. Together, they make life not only bearable but beautiful, infusing even the hardest chapters with sweetness and meaning. And if love and faith give life its sweetness, joy is what gives it color. Joy is rarely found in grand achievements or distant destinations. It lives quietly in the small details that most overlook. The laughter shared in a fleeting moment, the silence that calms your soul, the sunlight through a window, all of these hold the essence of life's deepest lessons. The journey itself, with its twists, pauses, and imperfections, contains far more wisdom than any finish line could ever provide. Too often we rush, thinking happiness is waiting somewhere up ahead, when in reality, it has been scattered along the path all along, hidden in plain sight. To notice these details is to awaken to the present, to see that the richness of life is not in the accumulation of milestones, but in the texture of the moments that lead to them. Now I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you recognize each dawn as a fresh page, allow love and faith to guide you, and discover joy in the details of your journey. The entire perspective of life shifts from chasing outcomes to savoring the revelations along the way. Write in the comments, I embrace the journey. Protecting your mental health is not just an act of self-preservation. It is an act of courage. Too many people wear resilience as a badge, forcing themselves to adapt to toxic environments that drain their energy and silence their potential. But survival is not the same as living, and strength is not meant to be measured by how much you can endure in harmful spaces. The hidden truth is that protecting your mind often requires the bravery to walk away, to set boundaries, and to refuse to shrink yourself to fit into places that do not honor who you are becoming. Looking forward instead of backward is the beginning of freedom, because it redirects your energy from reliving old wounds to shaping new horizons. Transformation starts when you recognize that your mental health is not negotiable. It is the foundation for everything else you will ever build. And it is in this space of clarity that the power of choice becomes undeniable. Life is a series of decisions, most of them small, but every now and then, one choice rises above the rest and shifts the entire trajectory of your journey. Sometimes it is not the most obvious decision, but the one that requires letting go of deeply held illusions. The illusion that things will change if you wait long enough. The illusion that comfort equals safety. The illusion that your worth depends on others' approval. Daring to choose differently, even once, creates a ripple that reaches far beyond the moment. It is in those pivotal decisions that growth happens, because choosing differently means daring to imagine a version of yourself that exists beyond fear, beyond limitation, beyond the weight of the past. One choice can be the dividing line between remaining who you have been and stepping into who you are meant to become. Behind the scenes of every life that inspires us lies a moment where someone decided they could no longer remain the same. The impact of that decision was not just in the change it created externally, but in the transformation it ignited internally. It is rarely the easy choice that shapes you. It is the one that demands courage, the one that feels uncertain, the one that forces you to leave behind the comfort of illusions in exchange for the possibility of truth. Now, I want to go even deeper into this topic, because once you begin to see that protecting your mental health and daring to choose differently are not acts of defiance, but acts of creation, you realize that every step forward carries the potential to rewrite your entire story. Write in the comments, "My choice creates my path." If you've stayed with me all the way until now, I truly hope this journey has given you insights and reflections worth carrying into your own life. This space is meant to be a source of perspective and transformation. So if you want to keep receiving content that speaks directly to your growth and your path, make sure to subscribe. It's how we stay connected in this exchange of ideas. I'd love to know who made it here with me, so drop a comment saying, "I'm with you until the end." It's always powerful to see who walks through the whole journey side by side. And if something in these words resonated with you, leaving a like is a simple way to let me know that the connection we created today mattered. There's a video right here that beautifully complements everything we've been exploring. Click and continue with me over there. I think you'll find it opens another layer to this conversation.